Welcome, everybody. College football week 1 is here. I'm Joe with the Game House, and today we're going to take a look at some news and notes for college football week 1. All right, as mentioned, we're going to go over some news and notes for college football week 1. It is Wednesday at the time of this recording. More may come into the fold, but these are some news and notes to track for week 1. As a reminder, too, we will be doing this every week. So some news and notes maybe, will affect this week, but maybe happened the week before. So Jim Harbaugh suspended for the first 3 games of the season. That's not specifically in this article, but it is in the last one. Same with Mason Smith, the LSU defensive lineman, missing this week 1 game against Florida State. So make sure to check back each week for more news and notes. We're going to get it started with the Arizona State self-imposed bowl ban. This is for infractions that happened under Herm Edwards. It's Kenny Dillingham's first season. I think they're trying to get out ahead of this. Like, hey, we're probably not making a bowl game anyway. Most people project, 3 to 5 wins for this team. So they're gonna self-impose a bowl ban. It really stinks for these seniors who didn't know going in. I think that the decision could have been made a little bit earlier. Since the infractions happened under Herm Edwards, we've known about it for a while. It was doing things, recruiting during COVID when everyone else was kind of having downtime. The NCAA instituted a kind of a downtime of recruiting, no contact, and they kept on doing it. So I really think that they could have handled this better. But that being said, it would have been tough for them to make a bowl game this year anyway. So we'll keep on moving on. Cam Rising and Brant Kuithe's status is up in the air versus Florida. I hope I said his name right. That Utah has so many tight ends coming through. That's always tough to keep up. Cam Rising injured his knee, and both players are questionable against Florida. Kyle Whittingham hasn't elaborated. We've seen the lines shift on this game a couple different times. So we'll see whether they're able to play. I mean, they still should be favored. They have Florida coming all the way to Utah on Thursday night. But it's going to be a big ask if you don't have a guy like Cam Rising in the lineup, who's been the leader of this team for the last 2 years, led him to 2 straight Rose Bowls. So just something to keep in mind, kind of watch in terms of whether he's ruled out before the game, whether they say he's playing and then he doesn't. We know college football injury reports don't really exist in the same breath or the same depth that NFL injury reports exist. So just something to keep a note of. Florida might be able to pull off an upset if one or both of those guys are unable to go. At Ohio State, Ryan Day names Kyle McCord Ohio State starting quarterback for week 1. Now, there was a battle between Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. Devin Brown missed the spring. A lot of people like Devin Brown's upside. Kyle McCord, on the other hand, he is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s high school teammate. He's been around for a little bit longer at Ohio State, but he's getting the opening nod against Indiana. I expect both quarterbacks to still play. Maybe a little bit of competition still going on. But they have Indiana, then they have Youngstown State. Later in the month, they have Notre Dame. So they really want to figure out who this quarterback is and get him in rhythm before that Notre Dame game. But Kyle McCord gets the first nod at quarterback for Ohio State. Some other news and notes maybe aren't as big as some of the ones listed. Texas A&M names Connor Wegman the starting quarterback. He played well last year. This was pretty expected for most people around the college football world. We've seen, other quarterbacks maybe not be named that we expect to be named, like Drew Allar at Penn State. But most people thought Connor Wegman would be the starter for Texas A&M this year, so not the biggest news. UCLA names Ethan Garbers the starting quarterback over Dante Moore. He's a really good freshman. He gets the first crack at the job. The other guys will probably still play like some of the other quarterback situations in the opening weeks of the season, but Garbers has been there for a couple of whiles, backed up DTR over the last few seasons. Nebraska tight end Eric Gilbert was arrested on burglary charges. You can find that video if you search on Twitter. This is kind of been moving around college football for the last couple of years. Georgia, LSU, now Nebraska. We'll see where he ends up after this, but just doesn't look good. Just can't stay out of trouble off the field. And was likely going to be a guy who did not get a waiver to play this year. NCAA is really backed up on that. If you followed the Tez Walker situation at UNC, they still have no word on the appeal whether he's going to play. Should probably add that news note in there. Just, we're waiting on the information just like North Carolina is, just to see if he'll be able to play this season, but doesn't look good. But Eric Gilbert likely wasn't going to play this year anyway with the waiver, but we'll see. Probably going to end up somewhere else at this point. Virginia edge rusher Chico Bennett Jr. is out against Tennessee with a knee injury. Virginia, probably not going to be able to compete too well with Tennessee this year based on kind of how we feel both teams are going to do this season. Chico Bennett could have made it a little bit interesting, maybe get some pressure on Joe Milton. It's going to be very hard for Virginia to really play well this Saturday as well now because of that injury to Chico Bennett. Iowa quarterback Cade McNamara is questionable for week 1 against Utah State with a right leg injury. I believe he suffered it on August 13th. been struggling to come back. We'll have to see if he's able to play in this one. They're really counting on him to step up and lead this offense. They really need to score more points this year. It's going to be tough, though. Iowa and Iowa State are two programs who have had all those gambling infractions happen. So that it's not going to be like a team that's a full strength. They have a bunch of distractions. It'd be really good if Cade McNamara could play and get the season started off on the right foot against Utah State. And as mentioned, Jim Harbaugh's suspension was in the last article, so we mentioned that here. But also, Michigan offensive coordinator Sharon Moore will also be suspended for the season opener from that NCAA investigation. Again, it involves recruiting during COVID. It involves buying a hamburger for a recruit. And this is Sharon Moore's big chance to show what he can do as an offensive coordinator as he keeps on moving up the ranks. He's been offensive line coach at Michigan, helped those offensive lines win the Joe Moore Award as the best offensive line in the sport the last couple of years. So these are the news and notes as of right now for the college football week 1. We'll probably keep on adding to this article, so make sure you visit thegamehouse.com to see any updates before Saturday. We'll be doing this every week as well. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.